All right. Emergency Response Guidebook 216, 2016, or the Orange Book. Continuing the guide, Orange Book guide pages. Halogenated solvents, potential have the toxic ingestion, vapor to bake, cough, dizziness, suffocation, exposure to the closed air with a baby, very harmful. Contact may irritate, burn skin, eye. The fire may produce the irritating toxic gas. The runoff of the packet dilution may cause pollution. Fire explosion. Some of these materials may burn, may not ignite readily. Most vapors are heavier than air. Air vapor mixture may explode. When ignited, container may explode in heat of fire. Public safety, call emergency telephone number to shipping paper. The first with the shipping paper that not available to no answer. For the further appropriate telephone number to list over the inside back of the immediate precautionary measure of the isolate spill locate leak area first in 150 feet with all the directions. Keep unauthorized person away. Stay upwind, uphill, upstream. Many gases are heavier than air and spread along ground. Collect in low confined areas, sewers, basement tanks, ventilating closed spaces before entering. Protect clothing, wear pressure, positive pressure, self-contaminated breathing apparatus, chemical protective clothing, especially manufactured for the man. Structural fire protective clothing will only provide limited protection. Large spills consider initial downward evacuation of at least 330 feet. If the tanker car, rail tanker is involved in fire, isolate 1/2 mile in all directions, 1/2 mile evacuation. All right, halogenated solvents, guide 160, emergency response. Fire, small fire, dry chemical CO2, water spill, water spray, large fire, dry chemical CO2, alcohol resistant foam, water spray. Move containers from fire area if you do not can do without risk. Diag fire control water with later disposal. Do not scatter the material. Fire involved with the tank, car, trailer, loads. Firefight with a maximum distance unmanned hose holders, minor nozzle, cool containers, flooding quantities until well after the fire is out. Withdraw immediately in case of the rising sound. Rating safety devices, discolorization of the tank. Always stay away from the tanks engulfed in fire. Spill or leak, eliminate ignition source of smoking fire flames immediately. Stop leak if needed without risk. Small liquid spills, pick up with the sand, earth, non-combustible absorbent material. Large spill, dive far ahead with liquid spill. Later disposal, prevent entry with waterways, sewers, basement, and confined areas. Ensure medical personnel are aware of the material involved to take precaution, protect themselves, move victim, fresh air, call 911 emergency medical service, artificial ventilation, not breathing, administrate oxygen breathing if difficult, remove the isolate contaminated clothing, shoes, case of substance, immediately flush skin, eyes, and running water for at least 20 minutes, minor skin contact, avoid spreading material to uninfected skin, wash skin in soap and water, keep victim calm and warm. All right, guide 161. Radioactive materials, low level radiation, potential have the radiation present the minimum risk of the transport worker, emergency response personnel, and public during transportation accidents. Packaging during increasing potential have the radioactive content, increase the very low level to contain radioactive material, low radiation level. The outside packages result in low risk to the people. The damaged packages may release the measurable amount of the radioactive material, but resulting resist are expected to be low. Some radioactive materials cannot be detected. Commonly available to instrument packages do not have radioactive 1, 2, or 3 labels. Some of the empty labels may have the word radioactive packaging material. Fire explosion. Some of the materials may burn but do not ignite readily. May have the cardboard outer packaging content physically large or small. Can be mainly different physical form. Radioactive does not change flammability or other properties of materials. Call emergency response telephone number. Shipping paper. The first of the shipping paper does not have no answer. Appropriate telephone number to list in the back of the cover. Priority rescue, life saving, the first aid, fire control, other hazard higher than priority managing radiation level. The radiation activity must be notified. Accident condition. Radiation authority is usually a reasonable decision about radiological consequence of closure for the emergency. Immediate precaution measure. Isolate spills, leaks after about 75 feet in all directions. Stay upwind, upbound, uphill, upstream. Keep unauthorized personnel away. Detain, isolate uninjured person equipped suspected contaminated, delay contamination cleanup. The instruction received the radiation authority. Protective clothing, positive pressure, self-contained breathing apparatus, structural firefighting protective equipment will provide adequate protection. Large spills consider downward evacuation of 330 feet. Fire when large quantity of the material involved with a major fire. Consider initial evacuation distance of 1,000 feet in all directions. All right, radioactive material, low level radiation emergency response. Fire president of the radioactive material will not influence fire control process. Should not influence selection of the techniques. Move container with the fire area that you can do without risk. Do not move the damaged packages. Move the undamaged packages out of the fire zone. Small fire, dry chemical CO2, water spray, regular foam, large fire, water spray, fog, flood amounts. spill or leak. Do not touch damaged packages or spilled material. Cover the liquid spill with a sand and earth or non-combustible absorbent material. Cover power spills with a plastic sheet tarp to minimize spreading. First aid, ensure medical personnel are aware of the material involved with the taking the precaution to protect themselves and prevent spreading of the contamination. Call 911. Medical problem to take priority with a radiological concern. Use first aid treatment according to the nature of the injury. Do not declare or transport a seriously injured person. Give artificial respiration victim to not breathing, or administer oxygen if the breathing is difficult. In case of the contact substance, immediately flush eyes with running water, at least 20 minutes. Injured personnel contaminated by contact with released materials are not a serious hazard to healthcare personnel, equipment, and facilities. Alright, radioactive, Guide 162, radioactive materials, low to moderate level of radiation. Radiation presents minimum risk of the transport, work of the emergency response personnel with the public during the transportation, accident, packaging, durability, increase the potential to have the radioactive content, increases undamaged packagings are safe. Contents of damaged packets may cause higher external radiation exposure, both external and internal radiation exposure. Contents: low radiation hazard. The material inside container. The inside, if the material is released in bulk, the container has a bill very low to moderate level hazard will depend on the type of the amount of the radioactive kind of material that is and on surface is on. Some material may be released from packages during accident, moderate severity, but risk to the people is not great. Release radioactive material, contaminated objects, and usually made visible if the packaging fails. Some exclusive use shipments of the belt packaged materials will not have radioactive labels. Placards marking shipping papers provided identification. Some packages may have radioactive label. The second has a label. The second has the using greater radiation hazard. So follow guideline use well as a response guide for a second hazard class label. Some radioactive material can be detected commonly available to instruments. Runoff from the control of the cargo. Fire may cause low level pollution. Fire explosion. Some of these materials may burn, but they not ignite readily. Uranium, thorium, metal cuttings may ignite spontaneously if exposed to air. See Guide 136. Nitrates or oxidizers may ignite the other combustibles. Guide 141. Alright, public safety call, emergency telephone number, ship to paper. The first ship to paper is not available. They refer to the available telephone number in the side of the back of the cover. Priorities is for rescuing, life saving, the first aid, fire control, and other hazards higher than priority to measure radiation levels. Radiation authority must be notified of the accident condition. Radiation authority is usually responsible for the decision making the radiological consequences of the closure of the emergencies. As an immediate precautionary measure, isolate spills, leak area with up to 75 feet in all directions. Stay upward, uphill, upstream. Keep unauthorized personnel away. Do not detain, isolate uninjured person equipped. Suspect to contain DTLA contamination. Clean up of the construction has received radiation authority. Alright, your protective clothing, positive pressure, self-contained breathing apparatus, structural firefighting protective clothing will be adequate protection. Large spill, consider initial downward evacuation with 330 feet. Large quantity of the material involved with a major fire, consider an initial evacuation distance of 1,000 feet in all directions. Radioactive material loaded moderate level radiation. Guide 162. Fire. Presence radioactive material will not influence the fire control process. Should not influence selection techniques. Move containers to the fire area if you cannot do without risk. Not move the damaged package, undamaged packages out of the fire zone. Small fire, dry chemical, CO2, water spray, regular foam. Large fire, water spray, flooding amounts. Do not like fire control water with later disposal. Speak or leak. Do not touch damaged package spilled material. Cover liquid spills with sand, earth, or other non-combustible material. Dike to collect large liquid spills. Cover power spills with plastic sheet or tarp to minimize spreading. First aid. Ensure medical personnel aware of the material involved with taking the precaution to protect themselves. 911. Medical problem to take over the priority of radiological concerns. First aid treatment according to the nature of the injury. Do not delay or care or transport seriously injured person. Give artificial respiration to the victim not breathing. Administrative oxygen and breathing is difficult. In case of the contact substance, wipe with the skin. Immediately flush skin, eyes with running water for at least 20 minutes. Injured personnel contaminated by contact release material with non-serious hazard material. Healthcare personnel, equipment, and facilities. Alright, 163, radioactive materials, low to high level of radiation. Radiation present minimum risk to transport workers, emergency response personnel, public during transportation accidents, packaging durability, increase the potential to have the radioactive content increases. Undamaged packages are safe contents. Damaged packages may cause high external radiation exposure, but external and internal radiation exposure as contents is released. Type A package cartons, boxes, drums, articles, identified type A parking packaging, should be papers, containing non-life endangering amounts. Partial release might be accepted if Type A packages are damaged moderate to severe accidents. Type B packages are rarely occurring with the Type C packages, large, small, usually metal, containing the most hazardous materials. Identifying packaging materials, shipping materials, life-threatening conditions may exist if contents released in packaging shield the fields by designing elevation technique, existing packaging. These conditions would be accepted. The accident of the utmost severity. The rare occurring special arrangement shipping may be Type A, Type B, Type C packages. Typing will be marked on package shipping detailed below shipping papers. Radioactive white labels using the radiation outside single isolated undamaged packages are very low. Radioactive yellow 2 and yellow 3 labeled packages have higher radiation level. The transported index TI label identifies the maximum radiation level from 1 meter of the single isolated undamaged package. Some radioactive materials can be detected by commonly available instruments. Water from cargo fire may cause pollution. Alright, fire or explosion. Some of these materials may burn but do not ignite readily. Radioactivity does not change flammability or other properties of the material. Type B packages designed and evaluated with total engulfment flame to the temperature of 1475 degrees Fahrenheit for a period of 30 minutes. Public safety call, emergency telephone number, and shipping paper. The shipping paper is not available. No answer. The appropriate telephone number listed on the inside of the back of the priorities: rescue, life-saving, the first aid, and fire control. Other hazards are higher priority for measuring radiation levels. Radiation authority may be noted as accident condition. Radiation authority is responsible for decision radiological consequence closure emergencies. As an immediate precaution measure, isolate slip, spill, leak area within 75 feet of all the directions. Start up when upstream and uphill. Keep understand authorized personnel away. Detain the isolated injury personnel equipment suspected contaminated. Decontamination cleanup in unit. Instruction received. Radiation authority. Positive pressure, self-contained breathing apparatus, structural firefighter clothing, provide adequate protection, internal radiation exposure, but not external radiation exposure. Evacuation, large build, consider initial downward evacuation of the 330 feet. Fire, when large quantity of the material involved with a major fire, consider initial evacuation distance of 1,000 feet in all directions. Alright, radioactive materials, low to high level of radiation, guide 163. Presence of radioactive material will not influence fire process with the influence of the selection technique. Move containers of fire area if you cannot do it without risk. Not move damaged packages. Move undamaged packages out of fire zone. Small fire, dry chemical CO2, water spray, regular foam. Large fire, water spray, fog, flooding amounts, dry fire, flooding, control water, large disposal. Spill or leak, do not touch damaged package. Spilled material damaged surface of the undamaged, slightly damaged package. Seldom indicate the packaging failure. Most packaging and liquid content inner containers inner absorbent material covered liquids with sand, earth, and are non-combustible absorbent material. First aid, ensure medical people awareness of the material involved, take precautions to protect themselves, call 911, medical problems, take priority with radiological concerns, use first aid according to the nature of the injury, do not delay or transport serious injuries, personnel, give artificial respiration, victim is not breathing, administrate oxygen if the breathing is difficult, in case of the contact substance, immediately flush eyes and with running water at least 20 minutes, injured personnel contaminated by contact release materials are not serious hazard, healthcare, personal equipment facility. Alright, Guide 164, radioactive material special form, low to high level external radiation. Radiation present, minimum risk of the transportation work with emergency response personnel with the public during the transportation accident, packaging durability, increase the potential to have the radioactive content, increases the undamaged package that are safe on content of the damaged package, may external radiation exposure much higher external exposure and contents of such capsule with relief. Contamination, internal radiation habit is not expected not possible. Type A packages, identify Type A marking packages, shipping paper to non-life endangering amounts. Radioactive source may be released. The Type A package damage of the moderately severe accident. Type B packages are rarely occurring. Type C packages contain the most hazardous amounts identified with the packaging marking. Shipping paper to life-threatening conditions may exist only if the contents release package shield fields because of the design evaluation testing package of these conditions would expected only with the accidents of the utmost severity. Radioactive white labels indicate radiation levels outside. Single isolated undamaged packages are very low. Radioactive yellow 2 and yellow 3 labeled packaging are higher radiation levels. Transported index TI. Label identifies maximum radiation level of 1 meter for the single isolated with the undamaged package. Radiation of the package contents usual durable metal capsule can detect the radiation instrument. Water from the cargo fire is not expected to cause pollution. Fire explosion packaging burning complete with the risk current loss of the sealed source capsule. Radioactive does not change flammability, other properties of the material. Radioactive source of the capsule type B package is designed and evaluated with its total equipment flame temperatures 1475 degrees Fahrenheit for a period of 30 minutes. Call emergency respond to telephone number to ship the paper. The ship the paper is not available. Answer for the refer to the telephone number listed in the inside back of the cover. Priority rescue for in life saving the first aid, fire control, other head for the higher priority measuring radiation level. The radiation authority made a notified accident condition. Radiation authority user responsible decision. Radiological consequence closure. Emergency immediately precautionary measure. Isolate spill leak area within 75 feet. In all directions stay uphill, upwind, and upstream. Keep unauthorized personnel away. Do not delay final cleanup until instruction or advice is received with the radiation authority. Protective clothing, pressure, self-contained breathing apparatus, structural firefighting protective with adequate protection against internal radiation, but not external radiation exposure. Evacuation, large build condition, initial downward at least 330 feet. File large quantity of material involved with a major fire. Consider initial evacuation distance 1,000 feet in the direction. Alright, radioactive material, special form, low, high volume, level, external radiation, guide 164. Fire. Presence of radioactive material will not influence fire control. Profits should not influence selection of the technique. Move containers out of the fire area if you can do it without risk. Do not move the damaged package for the undamaged package out of the fire zone. Small fire, dry chemical, CO2, water supply, regular foam, water spray, fog, and flooding amounts. Spill or leak. Do not touch damaged package. Spill material damage. Strip the undamaged, slightly damaged package. Sell them indication packaging. Contents sell them in liquid. Contents usually amalgam capsule. Evenness of the relief of the package. Source capsule with identified being out of the package. Do not touch. Stay away from the weight advice for the radiation authority. First aid. Ensure medical personnel are aware of the material involved to take precautions to protect themselves. 911. Medical problems take over the radiological concerns. First aid treatment according to the nature of the injury. Do not delay care of the transport seriously injured person on personal exposed to special form sources not likely to be contaminated with the radioactive material. Give artificial respiration victim to not breathing administrative oxygen breathing difficult injured personnel contaminated with the contact release material or not serious hazard to healthcare personnel and equipment facilities. Alright, continuing radioactive material, guide 165, physical low high radiation radiation present minimum the risk of the transportation worker emergency response personnel of the public during the transportation accident packaging during increase of the potential radiation critical hazard content increase in undamaged packages or safe contents damaged packages or cause higher external radiation exposure both external and internal radiation exposure with the contents are released. Type AF and IF package identify the packaging did not contain life-threatening amounts of material with external radiation low package design evaluated to test control release of the prevent fission chain reaction under severe transportation condition. Type BUF, package. Identify packages on package shipping paper that contain with potential life-endangering amounts because of the danger design evaluation, testing of package fission chain reactions are prevented release of the not expected to be life-endangering of all accidents exposed to the light, except those most severity. Rarely occurring special arrangement shipment of the type AF, BF, and CF packaging type will be marked. Package shipping details will be on shipper's paper. Transportation index and shown on labels shall not indicate the radiation level of 1 meter. So any isolated with undamaged package and treatment so them it might relate to control needed during transportation because of the physical properties material. Alternately, fissure nature of the contents may be indicated the critical safety index are on special fizzle labeled on with shipping paper. Some radioactive material cannot be detected in commonly available instruments. Water from cargo fire is not expected to cause pollution. Alright, fire explosion. These materials are seldom flammable. The package is designed with withstand fires without damage. Contents radioactive does not change flammability. Other properties of the material type AF, IF, BUF, BMF, CF packages are designed evaluated with withstand total engulfment in flames temperatures up to 1475 degrees for a period of 30 minutes. Public safety call, emergency telephone number, shipping paper. The shipping paper is not available. No answer. Appropriate telephone number listed inside the back of the cover. Priorities: rescue, life saving, the first aid, fire, life control. Other heads higher than the priority of measuring radiation level. Radiation authority must be notified of accident condition. Radiation authority is usually responsible for decision radiological consequences, closure emergencies. As an immediate precautionary measure, isolate spill leak area up to at least 75 feet of all the directions. Stay upwind upstream and keep unauthorized personnel away. Detain, isolate uninjured equipment is inspected. Contaminated, delay contamination, clean up with the instruction as received by the radiation authority. Protective clothing, passive pressure, self-contained breathing apparatus, structural fighter, pride, and protective clothing. Provide adequate protection against internal radiation exposure, but not external radiation exposure. Evacuation. Large spill. Consider initial downward evacuation for 330 feet. When large quantity of the material involved with a major fire, consider initial evacuation distance be 1,000 feet of in all directions. Fire. Present radioactive material not influencing fire control process should not influence the selection techniques. Move control of the fire away if you can do it without risk. Move containers away from the fire area if you can do it without risk. Do not move the damaged packet if it's done. Damaged packet out of the fire zone. Dry chemical, CO2, water spray, regular foam, large fire, water spray, fog, flooding amounts. Spill or leak. Do not touch damaged package or spill material damage. Surface undamaged, slightly damaged package or seldom indication packaging failure. Most packaging liquid can have contain inner containers or inner absorbent material liquid. Liquid spills package contains seldom liquid. Any radioactive contamination resulting in liquid release is present and probably will be a low level. Alright, first aid. Ensure the medical personnel are aware of the material involved to take precautions and protect themselves. Call 911. Make medical problems take priority. Radiological soon use first aid according to the nature of the injury. Do not delay care. Transport seriously injured person. Give artificial respiration. Victim is not breathing. Administrate oxygen if the breathing is difficult. In case of contact with substance, immediately flush skin and eyes with running water for at least 20 minutes. Injured personnel contaminated contact release material or non-serious hazard to healthcare personnel equipment facilities. Alright, we're going to try to read all the guides to the radioactive materials. Alright. And then we're on guide 166, radioactive material corrosive of uranium hexafluoride, water sensitive. Health. Radiation present of the minimum risk of the transport workers and emergency response personnel, public during transportation accidents, packaging, durability, increase the potential radiation critically with the hazard with the content, increase the chemical hazards greatly exceed the radiation hazard. Substance reacts with water vapor in the air with the toxic corrosive hydrogen fluoride gas and extreme irritant corrosive white colored water soluble residue. If inhaled, may be fatal. Direct contact cause of the burn skin, eyes, respiratory tract. Low level of radioactive material, very low radiation hazards to people to run off with control of the cargo fire may cause low levels of pollution. Fire explosion substance does not burn the material, may react violently with fuels, product of decomposed product, produce toxic corrosive fumes, containing protective overpacks of horizontal cylinder shape with the short legs, tie downs are identified AF, BU, F, HU, super papers marking on the over the package is designed and evaluated to withstand severe conditions, including the total engulfment in flames temperature up to 1475 degrees for a period of 30 minutes. Bare-filled cylinders at UN 2978 with the part of the marking, also HU and HM, the rupture, heating, engulfing of the bare exit, empty exempt the residue cylinder with a rupture with the fire radioactive does not change flammability of the property material. Alright, public safety. Call emergency telephone number. Shipping the paper. The first shipping the paper is not available to answer for the reappropriate number listed inside of the back of the cover. Priority rescue, life saving, the first aid, fire control. Other half of the higher than priority measure radiation levels. Radiation authority must be notified of accident and the condition. Radiation authority is usually responsible for the decision. Radiological consequence closure emergency. As immediate precautions measure, isolate spill and leak area to up to 75 feet of all directions. Stay upwind, uphill, and upstream. Keep unauthorized personnel away to detain and isolate uninjured person. Equipment suspected be contaminated, delay decontamination, clean up the instruction, receive the radiation authority. Protective clothing. Wear positive pressure, self-contained breathing apparatus, clean protective clothing with a special recommended chemical protective clothing, special recommended manufacturer provided little or no thermal protection. Structural firefighter protective clothing provides limited protection in fire situation only and is not effective in spill situation. Direct contact with the substance is possible. Evacuation. See Table 1, initial isolation protective action distances. When a large quantity of materials involved in the major fire, consider initial evacuation distance up to 1,000 feet in all directions. Alright, Fire. Do not use water or foam on the material itself. It must move the containers and fire if you can do without risk. Dry chemical or CO2, large fire, water spray, fog, regular foam, containers with a flood quantity of water and well after the fire is out. If at all possible, withdraw the air, let the fire burn. Always stay away from the tanks engulfing fire. Spill or leak. Do not touch damaged packets. Spill material. Do not get water inside of the containers. Without fire or smoke, the leak will evident be visible, irritating vapors residing, forming at a point of the release. Fire and water spray to reduce vapors do not work. Put water directly on the point of the material release form the container. Residual buildup may self-seal small leaks. Strike forward ahead with the spill. Collect runoff waters. Alright, ensure the medical personnel are aware of the material involved to take the precaution to protect themselves. 911. Medical problems take priority. Radiological concern. First aid treatment according to the nature of the injury. Contact with a hydrofluoric acid UN 1790. Flush with large amounts of water. Skin contact. Calcium glucinate gel is available to rinse 5 minutes to apply the gel. Otherwise, continue rinsing until the medical treatment is available for eyes. Flush water with the saline for 15 minutes. Do not delay care or transport serious injured personnel. Give artificial respirator victim and not breathing. Administrate oxygen if breathing is difficult. Indicate for the contact substance immediate. Flush skin eyes with running water for at least 20 minutes. Effective exposure, inhalation, ingestion, skin contact substance may be delayed. Keep the victim calm and warm. And then Guide 167, pages intentionally left blank, and then pages intentionally left blank. We'll come back to Guide 168, carbon monoxide refrigerated liquid.